Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Beazell, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from beginning at 1 p.m. and that's Central Time. You know, we have people who call us and send emails all over the country. It is Central Time as we get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You know, right now I'm at Books A Million and with Brian Brown, and he's with the County Extension Service. This is Auburn University.
Yep.
And so we are in the mall, and we are at Books A Million. So come down here and check them out. By the way, I have bought so many books here. And if they happen to not have it here, you can also order it online. So go come down here and check it out. You'll be glad you did. And come check out the mall as well. Growing, and we're seeing more people and more people and more people. So again, thank you so much for watching. By the way, send an email if you have any ideas for shows. If you'd like me to do a little research, I'll be glad to do that for you. Donna at donnasedge.com. That's Donna at donnasedge.com. You can find us on the radio at icradio.media, and where we are Fox News affiliates now. You can also find us on television, channel 182, Charter Communications, and Abundance Television, syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast. That is the newscasters.com. That's the Newscaster Studio. So thank you again. Any way we can find you, social media, whatever, we're always glad to be of service to you. So, Brian, we are, I wanted to mention this really quick. So, inside Books A Million, you can get these Espresso Joe mugs, by the way. And you can get all kinds of great drinks. In the summertime, I like to get the cold ones and the icy ones. And then in the wintertime, I like to warm up with some of their great coffee, espressos, and those kinds of things. We'll be talking about that throughout the show. Okay, so we've been receiving some emails from folks about you, about gardening.
Yep.
You're very popular across the country.
That's a first.
Folks in North Carolina like you, by the way.
Yeah, well, that's good.
So in Texas.
I appreciate the love.
Texas.
Yeah.
That way. So, you know, the wintertime will be here, fall will be here. I mean,
Right.
just like tomorrow almost.
Yeah. I wish it was here tomorrow.
It doesn't feel like
it. Doesn't feel like it today. Yesterday, I was out in it all day yesterday, and it was about 99, and I was dying. It was really hot. I probably got a sunburn on my arm here. So.
Yeah, I've got the farmer's tan.
Yeah, I definitely have one. But it's part of the job, you know, farmer tan. So I fit in well.
So what do we need to be doing? Because, you know, we've got the summer crop,
Yeah.
and, you know, we're getting our tomatoes over, you know, so they've done really good things to your advice.
Yeah.
And the class, we'll be talking about that in just a few minutes as well. What are some last minute things we need to be doing to round that up?
Well, right now, you know, fall crops are going in. So that's kind of an unusual thing. People don't think about planting for the fall, but right now is a great time to plant your fall crop. So if you have basically anything, so especially like your greens and your mustards and things like that, kale, all that stuff, and even tomatoes. You can actually plant a secondary crop of tomatoes if you want to, and corn. I was talking with a grower last week, and he's putting in corn again. So he will have corn for a fall crop. So here in the South, we do have a very long growing season, and we actually have a couple of you can almost do it year round. January gets a little hairy sometimes, especially this past January when we had the big freeze. But yeah, you can grow almost year round here in the South, and it just depends. You got to make sure to do the right thing. But and I've had this question this week actually. You know, some people were having problems in their garden, and they wanted to know what they could do because they have, especially weeds, they have huge weed problems in their garden. And I suggested solarization. So do you remember solarization?
I do remember it.
Yeah, so solarization is basically where, you know, usually at this time of year, most people or a lot of people are getting tired of growing crops. Probably not you, but a lot of people, so a lot of people are getting tired of it. So if your crop's kind of fading, your garden's looking kind of rough right now, if you want, and you've had a lot of problems, what you can do, clear the garden out, make sure you rake out everything up, make sure you get all the leaves out, take a blower, if you have a blower some of the leaves out of the way, and then till it up. Till that garden up and wet it down, and then put clear plastic. It has to be clear plastic. Can't use black plastic. Can't use opaque. It has to be clear plastic. About anywhere from 2 to 4 mil plastic. Put that over your garden, and then put some of the soil or dirt all around the perimeter of it, and just weight it down with some bricks or just something heavy to weight it down, keep it from blowing in the wind. And what that does,
high winds too. So
yeah. So that's something you can use. What happens is it's like a mini greenhouse, but it gets insanely hot, like 100 something. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry about that. But it gets really hot under there, and what it does, it gets so hot that it kills any soil-borne disease. It kills weed seed. It kills nematodes if you have a nematode problem. So it takes care of a lot of that, and that's called solarization. And if you have questions on it, just reach out to your local extension, or just look it up online. There's lots of YouTube videos on how to do it, but Extension is our trusted sources for that. But that's a good thing that you can do right now. About 4 to 6 weeks, depending on if it stays hot like it is, it'll cook that stuff really quick. So, but it's a good thing to do for your fall crop, or if you've had problems over the summer with weeds or disease or anything like that, that will kill it off.
Well, and I've got to mention this. Okay, this is a statement. I've had a problem with Japanese beetles for years.
Oh yeah.
Well, your advice worked. And this is because I'm buying like everything I can think of.
Did you doubt it?
Rid of. No, I didn't. So I just didn't want to have to pick each one and put it in oven.
Yeah.
That's the only way you can really do it.
Yeah. So one of the things with Japanese beetles, if they've already emerged and they're flying around, there's not a lot you can do. Now, if you want to know what Japanese beetle damage looks like, it's very distinct. They eat in between the veins, and we call it netting. So it kind of looks like a little net.
It's just ugly looking.
Yeah, and it's they eat in between the veins, so that's very distinct for a Japanese beetle. But to take care of Japanese beetles, you got to treat them in the spring. So early spring, put you out an insecticide into your lawn and in the areas that it's affecting, and you're not going to kill everything because unless your neighbor does it, they fly.
They'll come back.
Yeah, but you can take care of a lot of things with one dose. Put that insecticide on your lawn, and it will kill the Japanese beetles, because those white grubs that are in your lawn, they're overwintering in the ground. So those white grubs turn into Japanese beetles. So those larvae of the white grubs, likely, there's other species, but likely it's Japanese beetle. And if you take care of that, you'll take care of all your armadillos. I had a lot of calls about armadillos.
Thanks, Texas.
Yeah.
We didn't have those in Alabama.
No, not for a long time.
So the people like my husband bring them here. I mean, what happened?
Well, I remember when I was little, I'd never seen an armadillo before.
That's the first time I saw
Yeah,
one.
and we saw a little trail in the woods, and we were out hunting in West Alabama, and we asked what that was, and they're like, "What's an armadillo?" We didn't know what they looked. I mean, we knew what armadillos were, but we'd never seen one in real life. And that's in the past, 30 years that they've come here. So that's fairly recent in history. So, but yeah,
I wore all that since yesterday.
Yeah. So, but if you treat for those grub worms, you'll get rid of the armadillos because they're wanting food to eat. So take care of those. You take care of skunks, anything that's hunting and foraging for those things. Moles. You got moles in your yard?
And
so that's another reason.
I haven't seen as many, so maybe that.
Yes. Yeah, because moles, so there's two different kind of pests that tunnel. Moles and voles with a V. So moles are actually meat eaters. So they love grubs, and that's why they're digging around in your soil and making these tunnels. So if you get rid of the grubs, you take care of moles and moles. Voles are still there. They're like a little rat that eats roots. And you'll take care of armadillos, you'll take care of the white grubs that eat your grass, and you'll take care of Japanese beetles when they emerge in the spring or in the summer. So yeah, treat them one time, and you've taken care of all four of those things.
And that's what we did. And when I've been seeing, and they're going to come, unless Roger across the street does something, well, then you're still going to get them. And so I would just pick them off and throw them in water.
Yeah, soapy water. Don't apply soapy water to your plants, but if you have a bucket, put some dish detergent in there. You can just pick them off. They're not going to hurt you. They don't bite or anything. Just pick them off and throw them in soapy water, and they'll die.
Country girls will pick up a spider if they do that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's an easy way to take care of grubs and Japanese beetles and all the other things. And but yeah, it's interesting. More I've gotten into this job, and the more I've learned a ton. I've probably said that 1,000 times, but learning how to identify different insects, and I'm fascinated by it. Just the whole world.
Because there's some good ones too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just this week, I guess it was it yesterday? anyway, sometime very recently, I was at someone's house and they had a baby, a little baby ladybug, and a baby ladybug, a larva. Does not look like a ladybug at all. It's the creepiest looking thing ever. So if you're out there and you want to know what one looks like, just Google image search for a baby ladybug, and you'll be surprised at what it looks like because it's not even close to
And
what
I
it
would
looks
probably
like.
kill them before thinking it was something
Right.
else.
And so ladybugs are great, especially early in the spring. They love to eat soft-bodied insects, so like aphids, which are really bad for your plants. They love to eat aphids. I mean, they are aphid destroyers. So you can attract ladybugs to your plants. There's actually a disease called crepe myrtle bark scale. And the scale insects, they're soft-bodied insects, and when they're larvae at least. And when they're in that crawler stage, you want to attract ladybugs to there. And the way you do that is you take a yellow card, like a bright yellow card, like those political signs and stuff. You can paint it with like a really bright yellow paint. And for some reason, they're attracted to bright yellow. And so those ladybugs, and you can do this in your garden too. And if you have an aphid damage or aphids,
That's why they're going to the mailbox.
your mailbox
I
yellow.
had an old mailbox. It was
Yeah.
my grandparents, and Bill painted it yellow. And I've noticed an unusual amount.
Yep. That's why.
I'm trying to figure out what.
Yeah, so you can put a little card in your garden, and those ladybugs will be attracted to that card, and then they go to that card and they're like, "Well, wait a minute, there's an aphid over there. I think I'll go eat that." And so that's an easy way. It's an IPM, integrated pest management technique that you can use. That you don't have to use pesticides. You can use biological control to control your aphids. So.
There you go.
Yeah.
What are some of the last minute fruits you could possibly plant right now? Would you get a harvest out of anything before the
Probably not. We're kind of in. Yeah, figs they're kind of in their peak season right now. What you really need to do is start prepping for fall planting. And so fall planting is coming up soon. When the temperature kind of cools down a little bit, maybe in I guess October is probably the best time. October is a great time because we actually do get some cool weather. So October, November is great times for planting here in Alabama. If you go a little bit further north, you might could do September, October-ish. But plant your fruit trees then, plant your figs then, and you can plant any time of year. It's just we don't like to plant when it's really hot outside because they need water. And that water is going to evaporate just like that. So
So I had a question. This is one of our longtime watchers. Okay, her name is Joanne McGee. She lives in South Alabama, close to
Okay.
Gulf Shores.
Yep.
And she said every time I followed your idea on when to plant, Joanne, you're not listening because there's a total different zone in South Alabama than up here.
Yeah, absolutely. So the hardiness zones, they just changed in December. So I think it's every 12 years, they redo the hardiness zone map. That hardiness zone used to be, most of Alabama was 7B. Now all of Alabama is at least 8. And so down in Mobile South, I think it's Mobile South, especially on the Gulf Coast, they're probably like a 9B now. Maybe even a 10A if she's right on the beach.
Tropical down there.
It's very tropical. Huge. I mean, Alabama is so weird because we have, in the Northeast where we're at, we have a lot of mountains here, and so just up the road, in the Mentone area and Black Creek and that area, that's some of
almost Tennessee like.
yeah, it's very mountainous there, and that's where some of the coolest parts of the state
They
is.
get
So
to know when nobody else knows.
that's right. And so you go down to Mobile and south of Mobile, and it's completely different. I mean, they grow tropicals down there year round, and things that are house plants up here are just outdoor plants up down there. So yeah.
Now, the Carolinas are the same because you have the mountains
Right.
on one side and you have the beach on the other side.
Mhm.
Two different zones.
Yeah, it's completely different, and we have different soil textures here down in South Alabama. They have, the wiregrass area, it's more sandy, and the black belt, of course. The black belt has a reason it's called black belt is because it's rich. I say rich. It's heavy organic matter because of the Alabama River comes down through Alabama like that, and so it's kind of like a floodplain. And so over the thousands of years that the Earth's been here, that has flooded and flooded and flooded, and so it made a naturally heavy organic layer. So their pH level is very, very high. And that's why it's called the black belt. It's because of the color of the soil. Organic matter is dark. So that dark soil is usually an indicator of high pH.
I'd like to get a dump truck, go down there and get some of it and bring it up to my end of the world.
Well, it can, so it's heavy organic matter. It still grows great. They grow all kind of crops down there. So
Catfish king up there too.
yeah. There's a lot of catfish production. More so when you get to West Alabama and Mississippi. But yeah, we have saltwater aquifers in West Alabama.
Really?
They grow saltwater shrimp up in West Alabama.
Wow.
Inland shrimp. Yep. That's a fairly new thing. They discovered this saltwater aquifer, and they decided, well, if we dig a pond, we can have shrimp, Gulf shrimp, but it's actually inland shrimp, and it's grown in saltwater. So it's really interesting. That's your fun fact of the day.
And
Totally unrelated, but.
And fish, I don't know what you call it. Fish leftovers are really good for your garden.
Oh yeah. Fish. You can just, some people put fish parts in the bottom of their planting holes. I mean,
I did that with tomatoes.
yeah,
Had pretty good harvest.
yeah.
Of them as well. So, what kind of plant of tomatoes could you plant?
Right now, pretty much anything.
Any of them?
Yeah. Let me take that back. The heat tolerant varieties are the ones you want to reach out for because it is hot right now. But just make sure you keep them watered. But the heat tolerant tomatoes are probably going to be your best bet for right
Well, we've
now.
had a strange weather pattern this year. We've had a lot of rain in my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
And thank God we had the garden we had because had it been planted in the ground, I think I would have flooded a lot of my stuff.
Well, and we went for a while there we were in drought, and here recently we've got a lot of rain.
One
So
extreme to the other.
we have, and actually I just got a text from a client just a few minutes ago. She had some Leyland cypress that were dying, and she's like, "Well, what's wrong with this?" Well, it's probably very, very likely it was because of drought. And so you start seeing those symptoms, especially on trees.
Mm-hmm.
You see those drought symptoms much later. It can be a drought for 3 months, and then it rains, and you forget about, wait a minute, we had a drought back in the fall. Well, now we're starting to see that damage, especially on needle trees. Needle trees, if they just die, the whole thing dies. It's either lack of water or they're planted too closely. So this is a number 5. Those trees are the hardest to diagnose, but same thing for your garden. You need to water as much as you can to keep it moist if you're in a drought period. So
now you brought up trees, and this reminds me of another one of our listeners who lives up in the Carolinas, and he said a number of his neighbors have been planting cedar trees to use as a fence.
Yep.
But one year we had the frost, some folks lost a lot of them, so he wants to know what your ideas might be to grow healthy trees to use as a border for a fence.
So I would not use any type of needle tree. I do not like them whatsoever. They have so many more problems, especially Leylands. Like Leyland cypress should be outlawed. I hate those things. They have so many problems, especially if they get a little bit dry. They just give up and die.
Yeah, we were living in Charlotte, North Carolina one year, and some of our neighbors were using it as a fence as well.
Yeah.
About half the trees died.
Yeah. So I would stay away from Leylands or any type of needle type trees, like a cedar type tree. I would recommend something like a holly. There's a lot of hollies out there that are really good for screens. In particular, depends on how big you want it, like an Ilex opaca, which is American holly. The American holly can get big. Very, very big.
How long does it take them to get big?
Not too long. I mean, you can buy a good sized one, and within 5 to 10 years, you're gonna have a pretty big plant. So, but there's other varieties you could use.
Now, let me ask a question. Yeah. Okay, now would you have to really also pick a tree that wouldn't grow so big a root that it would if you have a fence or something?
Yeah. I would not plant them next to your house because it's or next to any kind of walkway that you pour.
I have a friend who works foundations of a house, and he hates any kind of a tree. He said, I don't even want a rose bush around it.
Yeah. It's not good, especially if you have an existing tree. I would try to avoid cutting the roots at all, because a lot of times people will try to pour a walkway and then you end up cutting the roots, and guess what? Roots are what carry all the nutrients and water to the tree. So you've essentially killed your tree by putting it in the sidewalk.
Mhm.
So you need to be very, very careful with that. Seek out a certified arborist or some consultation that actually knows the health of your tree if you want to survive.
Well,
So-
let's talk tree again because you
Okay.
mentioned this a couple of times on the show.
I love
And
trees.
this is, well, I do too. And I pass by houses of folks and I want to go out and just knock on the door and say, take your car away from the root of that tree because it's
Yeah,
ruined.
yeah.
But it's none of my business. But
Right.
what can people do about that?
Stop parking under it. I mean, once
Find
you,
somewhere else.
you know, what happens
They
is,
wonder why one part is dead. and
right, right. And so what happens is those roots, you know, you see pictures of trees and, you know, just like an illustration, and it shows these roots that are going way, way deep. That's not true. Roots do not grow like that on a tree. You might have a juvenile taproot. When it's young, it may have a taproot, but over time that becomes less significant, and the roots actually grow laterally, and they're only about maybe in the top 8 to 12 inches, depends on a lot of factors, but usually generally we say about 8 to 12 inches. So those main roots, if you've got especially heavy equipment, if you've got some construction happening at your house, that heavy equipment rolls across those roots and it just pinches those roots in two, and it just compresses them, and they're done. You've killed your tree. So if you're parking your car, equipment, tractors, whatever you have under that, you could be killing your tree or at least damaging it. Some are
We have
more
construction
resilient.
workers. I've moved them before. We've had
Yep.
construction folks come to the house, and I would say, "Move your people, please."
Yeah.
Say it in a kind way. You don't have to be negative, but just say, "Move them," because it will harm my
Yeah.
tree.
So another thing is field dirt. So if you, especially on new construction, people want to say, "I want good dirt, you know, to grow in." Don't do that. If you have any trees in your yard you want to keep, if you haul in field dirt, even if it's just a couple of inches of field dirt, what will happen is you actually starve those roots of oxygen. So roots don't only need water; they need oxygen to take up. And so what you've done is you've choked it out. The tree cannot take up water and stuff because there's no oxygen there. So it needs water and oxygen, and you've reduced both of those when you put in field dirt.
I forgot my notes of all the emails you guys have sent, so please forgive me if I don't get to your email. One of them was this one, since we're talking trees.
Yeah.
And so this guy said that he had heard that, I think it was Trey, if I have your name wrong, I apologize. And he said he had heard that you can plant by like a fruit tree or whatever, you can plant a plant that has a huge tap root. And that helps with nourishment for your fruit trees or whatever. Is that true?
Like I said before, the taproot is more of a product of juvenility more than anything. So the biggest thing, if you're going to plant, especially a bare root tree, I wouldn't worry about the taproot. What I tell people if they're going to plant a fruit tree, especially a bare root, what I would do is dig a dish. Now remember that? Dig a dish. Don't dig a hole, because holes go straight down. You want to dig a dish with like a curved sidewalls on it. So dig your dish. Then if it's bare root,
By the way, okay, you hear that in the background? You know what that means? That means Joe Mugs right here. And they have some wonderful drinks. They've got this millionaire mocha.
yeah,
Yeah, it's mocha. So, and this is good. You can get the tall and it's a good price too, $3.90.
Not a million.
Yeah, it doesn't cost a million, and it is awesome. But my favorite is the Americano, and it has several different, almost like a fruity kind of a thing in there too. So, and hot apple cider, they've got that one. Hot tea, steamer, hot cocoa. You'll be thinking about this now in a couple of months when it gets cold here, because here in Alabama we have winter and summer. There's no winter.
Right.
And also the caramel frappe is really, really good. And again, they have good prices. Come down here to the Gadsden Mall and come inside. Books a Million. And by the way, someone had actually bought a book and they actually paid for the book and their drink there. So you can, buy your book, whatever you have. And they have a number of them. J.D. Vance, his book.
yeah.
Okay, I bought it here. And so I just heard they've been running out of them. So they have a brand new order of them right here at Books a Million in the Gadsden Mall. So come check it out.
Cool.
Everybody wants that book.
Yeah,
I got it. It's a good read.
I watched the movie the other day.
Yeah,
So,
it's a good one too.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of my family a little bit. So anyway,
yeah,
good person who makes it big. That's always awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now that's your tree.
yeah. taproot. So when you're digging your dish, if you're doing bare root trees, what I like to do is plant or make a little volcano in the middle of that. So make a little pyramid. I like to call them volcanoes because that's kind of what it looks like. And take your tree roots. So these are your tree roots, and just put it on top of that volcano, and then kind of sit it there, and then backfill with everything, and you'll have good success. The other thing is when you're planting any kind of tree, whether it be a fruit tree or whatever, shrub, it doesn't matter. Make sure you see the root flare. So the root flare is kind of where it curves down at the bottom. You see that flare out like this. You've got to see that root flare. If you don't see that, it's planted too deeply, and it's not going to live. It may live for a few years, maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Then it starts dying, and you wonder what's wrong. All you've done is planted too deep. So that is essential. Anytime when somebody calls about a tree problem, I ask a million questions, but one of the main ones I ask, did you plant it, and how did you plant it? And that's
did you cut away the wire? And
cutting it, yes, cutting around the wire, pulling back the burlap on it. Sometimes I planted a tree one time where there was a burlap string wrapped around the trunk, and it almost killed the tree. Thankfully, we saved it, and it's growing fine now. But that's a death sentence to a tree. Never try anything around the trunk of the tree.
Absolutely. Let's go into a commercial break. We're a little behind, but that's okay. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant. At Liberty Bank, we're all about community. Whether it's to help with a charity fundraiser or help families in need, toys at Christmas or a local football team, we're here for you. You see, we realize the importance of family. Sometimes it's to build a new home or necessary home repairs. We're here for you. If you like the feel of a small town bank with all the conveniences of a big city bank, we're here to serve you. You will find us at any of our convenient locations in DeKalb, Marshall, Etowah, and Blount counties in North Alabama. You can call and speak with any of our friendly staff at 256-659-2175 or check us out on the web at libertybankal.com. And thank you for your support of our community. Member FDIC Equal Housing Lender. Jeff McCurdy of the McCurdy Law Firm has been a public service of this area for over 10 years. McCurdy, a member of the Henniger City Council, serves as prosecutor for the town of Sylvania and was named public defender for the city of Rainsville. The McCurdy Law Firm is located at 17326 Alabama Highway 75 in Henniger to better represent his Jackson and DeKalb County clients. If you need to be represented by a true public servant with proven success, call Jeff at 256-996-8701 or send a private email to mccurdylawfirm@gmail.com. No representation is made that the legal services performed is greater than the legal services performed by other lawyers.
I'm excited to announce my all-new mattress topper. In the times we're in, I wanted to bring you the best affordable mattress topper ever. So I took my two best technologies and combined them to make the ultimate mattress topper. And now you can get it for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. It all starts with my famous MyPillow foam that provides you that overall full body support. Second is the individual comfort supports that give you an amazing custom sleep experience. It's like it's made specifically for you. The queen size alone has over 14,000 comfort supports. This is the perfect mattress topper to improve any bed. New bed, old bed, your guest beds. Get them for every bedroom in your house. Go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get the all-new My Mattress Topper for as low as $69.98. Queen size only $99.98. Don't delay, order today.
Good afternoon. We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. and that's Central Time. As we get to ride home with you in the afternoon, I have Brian Brown with me, one of my favorite. This is my kid right here. One of my favorite. You're in the wheel, by the way.
You won't get I appreciate that.
You won't get a lot, but anyway, you're in it. You might get a nickname in the food.
Yeah, that's good.
But thank you so much for all of your advice. And I took Brian's Master Gardening class. Let's talk about that. Do you have one coming up?
Yeah, actually, we start day after tomorrow. So that'll be the fall class. We're doing it in Guntersville this time. So we can't take any more applications, unfortunately, but we will have a
plan for the next one.
Yeah, the next one will probably be in DeKalb County. So we'll be in Fort Payne, and we're kind of doing some initial plans for that right now. But I rotate around my 4 counties that I take care of. So I'm in Marshall County, Etowah County, which is where we're at now, Cherokee, and DeKalb. So all of North Alabama, I say this is the most beautiful part of the state, and it is. I love the mountains here, and it's just a nice. We got rivers, we got lakes.
Yeah,
it's just a nice place to be here. So yeah.
Yeah, good place. And then there are workshops. I know Phil and I went to workshops in the industry.
Yeah, actually, I have one next Tuesday. I have a workshop on whatever date that is. I can't even think of the date, but it's a week from today, the 15th, I think. But yeah, so that will be, we're doing a Diagnosing Your Plant Problems class.
Diagnosing, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about how to recognize problems.
That'll be the 14th.
14th, yeah, the 14th of August at the Guntersville Public Library at 5:30. And so it's an evening class, and we'll just kind of talk about what it means for a plant to have a disease, what's a primary disease, what's secondary. Sometimes, it's like, you see these nature shows where you have the gazelle out there running across the prairie there, and, the cheetah is back there watching it. Well, he finds him one that's weak, and then that cheetah attacks that weak one. The same things happen with plants. Once that plant gets weak, those bugs they're out there to take advantage of it. So learning to recognize what is a primary versus a secondary infection is it's almost like you need a degree to do it. I'm still not good at it, but I'm getting better at it.
And he teaches a great class. And let me tell you, I learned so many things from Master Gardener's class. The biggest thing, and I saw a lot less disease, was just simply cleaning my shears and cleaning the cutters and all of the equipment.
Yep, that's essential. I mean, even your lawnmower, if you have a lot of weed problems, wash it off when you're done. That will prevent a lot of those weed seed from dispersing around your lawn. So take the hose and just wash it off, because those weed seed, and wash your whole lawnmower. It's not going to hurt it. wash your whole lawnmower, wash it down, make sure you get all the weeds out of
It's
it.
something you don't think about. You think,
Yeah,
"Oh,
you
it's
don't-
a lawnmower."
Yeah, but that really goes a long way in preventing a lot of diseases from spreading and strowing weed seed all over your lawn. So, yeah, it's a good thing to do.
Oh, that reminded me. Another question was about compost.
Mhm.
Should you put grass in there because
Yeah.
of weed seed?
Yes, go ahead and do that because usually those weed seed will get hot enough to kill the weed seed. So it's fine. Just go ahead and put grass
It's
in.
really, really hot. in
It
there.
does. And so it's best if you can rotate it every few weeks because it's, especially now when it gets so hot in there, rotate that and it'll break down much faster. So,
Oh, it does. And I'll tell you, when you've waited a month or two and haven't done it, and then you start breaking it down, if you touch that, it is scalding
yeah,
hot.
even in the wintertime. Yeah, it can be really hot even in the winter. So,
I've been making a grass tea, not for us to drink, but
Yeah.
a grass tea to use in fertilizing,
mhm.
and that's been helping a lot too.
Yeah. So what's interesting is there are the essential elements when you cut grass, especially that green is actually it's chlorophyll, but it has nitrogen in it. So if you reuse that nitrogen's still there. So that's why it's good to break that down. And some people rake their yards. Well, raking your yard, you're taking away some of those nitrogen resources, and so. And it does look better when it's raked, of course, but yeah, that's
Phil uses
free
that.
nitrogen.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So,
free. So Phil uses his backer. He's not using it right now because he wants the grass to
Yeah.
kind of lay in the, and fertilize,
Right.
the grass for next year. And so what we do, those kegs you gave me?
Yeah.
And so I've got 4 of those. And so what he'll do is just every few months, he'll just go ahead and fill it about halfway and then put water in it.
Yeah.
And then I'll just get like an old sheet or old curtains or something. And then I'll go ahead and drain all that out. Put that in the compost and
Yep.
use that tea. You have to water it down now. Don't use it straight out of there because it's pretty stout.
Yeah.
It stinks like I don't know what.
Yeah.
My hands will
That's the
smell
good stuff,
terrible.
though.
Yeah, and I forgot to do it over the weekend. And so we went to church, and so I was sitting by this lady, and she kind of goes, and I thought, oh no, it's it's the grass tea on my hands.
Maybe you should rub a lemon or something on there.
I put lemon juice, and it still was faint. And I thought, man, what would you have done yesterday had you smelled it? Phil was like, please put something on your hand.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing about living in North Alabama. When it's fertilization
Yeah.
season, because you smell chicken litter everywhere. Doesn't matter where you go, you're just going to smell it. So.
And that was another question. Thank you for bringing all these questions up. So
Yeah.
I got my list. I usually have a page full of questions. And this was about using chicken litter. In your
Yep.
opinion, is it better chicken, cow, what? Is it better?
6 one way, half a dozen other. Doesn't really matter. I will say that chicken litter is high in phosphorus, so you probably need to be careful with phosphorus, especially if you have a pond. What will happen if you have a heavy clay soil and you have a pond and you fertilize with chicken litter, that phosphorus will actually run off into your pond and cause what's called an algal bloom, and then you have algae all over your pond. So if you're walking around, or you're driving around and you see green ponds right now,
I've seen that.
the
Now,
reason
mine's
why
not.
is
Mine's
because
not.
they've either fertilized with too much phosphorus or they've used chicken litter and that phosphorus has run off into that's why. So yeah, the more you
Right
know.
in the sky. See what I mean?
So yeah, that was a big problem when I lived in Opelika. We had a huge problem. Every summer, people would complain about the smell of our water because it smelled terrible. It wasn't bad. Well, it did taste bad too, but like the smell was just terrible. And the reason why is because they had an algal bloom. Well, the lake that they pull municipal water from in Opelika is actually Lake Salgahatchee. Well, guess what's at Lake Salgahatchee? There's a golf course. What do they do at golf courses? They fertilize the heck out of that golf course.
They use chemicals too.
And so, yeah, but all that runoff from that excess phosphorus goes straight to that water. And then when the sun gets warm, you have an algal bloom. And I don't know why they could never figure out. I'm like, it's blatantly obvious to the most casual observer, I don't understand why they could never figure out why. I was screaming, how do you not know this is what's happening? Because that's what was happening. They were causing their own demise. So,
We have a watcher who's been watching this for a long time from Tennessee. around the Knoxville area.
Yeah.
And he said that he was using his city water to water the plants, but he started collecting water from the rain.
Yep.
And he's noticed a big difference. He has more production.
Yeah, sometimes city water can have high chlorine, and sometimes it can be damaging to plants. It depends on the plant. Some are more sensitive than others. House plants, I water my house plants just out of the tap, and it's fine. But we and even off your house, you got to be careful with that sometimes, because if you have a shingle roof, some of those stuff can leach out into that. So it's just you just kind of have to experiment with it. But you can use a rain barrel. So if you have a rain barrel, you can collect water, and it's an easy way to gather some fresh water, some fresh rainfall. So and we have a rain barrel workshop coming up.
Oh, no,
so that will be probably in September. So we had it scheduled for last month in July, and we didn't have enough participation, so we're pushing it out to September, and hopefully we'll get some more people sign up for that.
I want to go.
But it'll be here in Gadsden.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right, Dylan, I want to get to this.
Yep. So, but yeah, the rain barrel. What's surprising to a lot of people is they don't realize how much water comes off your roof. Water control is a huge thing in plants, landscape plants especially. For every 1,000 feet, if I did my math in my head right, for every 1,000 square feet of surface, it's about 623 gallons for every inch of rain. So if you get 1 inch of rain, you're going to have your rain barrel. If it's like a standard rain barrel, it's going to fill up in just a few seconds.
Yeah.
So
and you don't think about that.
No, you don't.
And I've just had plastic boxes sitting around catching water.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're right. Before you know it, wow, did we have that much rain?
Yeah, it's a lot. So, but rain barrels are great. You can catch a little bit of that water that's coming off your roof that would just be wasted otherwise. So, my buddy, he's got 2 500-gallon tanks, and he waters his entire garden with it. So he catches it off his barn, and he's done great. So, he uses drip irrigation.
Phil's
so
watching this going, oh no.
He got some ideas just now,
Oh,
so
no.
I can give him a source. So there's a place over in Georgia that sells these huge tanks.
Let's
So-
talk about seeds, because we received quite a few emails about that.
Yeah.
That's the best way to save seeds. Let's start with tomatoes.
Yeah, so we actually have some videos. I think we worked with collaboration with Clemson University, and I think University of Georgia too, but it's hosted on Clemson's site, and they actually have a course that you can take on saving seed. So on a tomato, if you slice in your tomatoes and you have some seeds in there, the best thing to do is to put it in a little, like a mason jar or something, with a little bit of water, and leave it in there for maybe a week or two. And so it's going to get nasty, like it's gross.
Should you change the water out every couple of days? That's
Nope.
what I do. Okay,
Nope,
well, I've
don't do
been
that.
messing up.
Don't do that. So all you got to do is just dump your seeds in there and put a little bit of water in there. And so after a while, it's going to get slimy and moldy and
It's
just
weird looking.
it's nasty looking. But you pour that off, and then your bad seeds will go on with all the stuff, but your good
They'll
seeds
kind
will
of float up.
no, the bad seeds will float, and the good seeds will sink. So you pour that stuff off, you dry them off, and then put them in a Ziploc bag. And you're
then
good to go.
that way, because when you save seeds, you wonder which ones are good and which are, but just looking at them when they're
Yeah.
dry, that's a grand idea.
Yeah, so you just and make sure, don't forget, one of the main things you've got to do is label them, so you'll know what they are.
Yeah.
Put
Were
the
those
variety.
aromas, or were those the
Yeah,
cherry?
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So
Because that was
make sure you label them well. Don't confuse them, and because you may get a surprise next time you plant. So
Yeah, well, I did, because I thought I was saving some squash, wound up being
yeah,
watermelons.
yeah,
And
yeah.
pumpkin. Oh, the pumpkins are looking really good.
Good.
Yeah, Phil just harvested one of them from the garden, and it weighed 13 pounds.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's a big old baby.
Yeah, pumpkins are an interesting species because you have the little mini pumpkins. Those are actually not pumpkins. Those are actually squashes. But let me think how to say this.
Cousins, though, aren't they?
So all pumpkins are squash, just like all watermelons are
That's
squash.
why the seeds
But
look
not
so-
all squash are watermelons. In fact, it's like all rectangle, all squares are rectangles, but not all rectangles are squares. Yeah.
So
Same
do you
thing.
like pumpkin pie?
I don't turn a whole lot of things down.
Okay,
As you can
There's
tell.
something that is Phil does not like pumpkin.
Yeah, it's
And I
not
love pumpkin.
my mom.
So then you're going to get some pumpkin pie.
Yeah, my mom makes pumpkin pie. She has a great recipe for it.
Did you put much cinnamon, nutmeg?
Little bit.
That's the almond, just a little.
Yeah, she just puts a little bit. We hopefully we'll have our cookbook coming out this fall. So
Tell me about the cookbook.
yeah, so this is totally off subject, but I am since they don't watch this probably. Sorry, my cousins. I have decided to write a cookbook with my mom's recipes in it,
I
and
want one.
so it will be for sale. It will be for
And you're
sale.
gonna have it on Amazon? Or
Yeah, it'll be on Amazon.
Okay.
So
Just want us in the right direction.
yeah, so we'll. It's called Mama's Cooking,
Uh-huh.
and so hopefully
She's a great cook, too.
she is. She obviously
She's gonna
she's a
put some
really
things,
good
she
cook.
preserves foods and stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll
That's
talk
really
about
good.
canning and preserving. We're even going. I'm gonna put some how to prepare game. So, like, if you want to fry a squirrel, I'm gonna put that in there
I
too.
love squirrel, but anyway, they're right.
I've eaten a lot of squirrel growing
What's
up.
squirrel taste like?
Man, I'm gonna sound like a real redneck on this, ain't I?
Both of us together.
But no, it's it's
I
been a
just didn't
really
think-
long time.
I'm that type. I didn't think
It's
I
not
would like
bad.
it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, it's
Tastes like chicken.
no.
Yeah, everything
It's
tastes like
more of
chicken.
a-
You don't know what it is.
It's not like rabbit either. It's a gamey taste, but it's not.
A little more like
It's
a
not
turkey,
strong.
maybe? Turkey-ish. Yeah, because turkey can be gamey.
Yeah, it's a red. It tastes like red meat, but it's a little bit gamey, yeah. So it's not bad though. I mean, no, it's
not
it's
bad.
unique. It's unique, but it's not a bad meat.
Okay. When anybody
But I
says
would-
unique,
We have it's good though. It's been a long time since I've
no
eaten
roadkill,
one.
you
But,
actually killed one.
oh yeah.
No
I used to
roadkill.
hunt when I was
Well,
a
see,
kid
if
all the
you
time.
do a
so-
roadkill, you are a redneck.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's for sure. But like deer, how to process a deer and how to cook deer meat, and I love deer. That's one of my favorites of all. I love deer.
I met a lady up in Anderson, South Carolina, Phil and I were about a month ago, and so she's also head of the Republican Party out there in the county, and so she said they have cattle and they have sheep and they have all kinds of animals, and they've always hired a processor,
Mhm.
but they're going to Glass to learn how to do it themselves.
Yeah. It's a process to do, and we
My grandparents used to do that.
yeah. So, but we're gonna try to include some game recipes in there and desserts, and I'm gonna try to categorize. Yeah, so we got a lot of those.
Jams and jellies.
Yeah, jams and jellies, but how to preserve things, and canned, like homemade vegetable soup is one of my favorites. And we'll put that recipe in there. But how this came about is a few years ago, I was thinking of something to give my cousins for Christmas, and so
Who have everything. So
well,
what do you think?
yeah, and we have a lot of cousins. I have a lot of cousins, so I'm like, well, how do I buy everybody something? So what I did is, my grandma has a world famous, like everybody's grandma, pound cake recipe, and so
Nobody else.
I
If
had-
you've been following the recipe, you can never do it.
yeah, that's for sure. So what's interesting about that is, so I had the recipe that my grandma wrote down, and I scanned it, and I digitized it, and I made everybody a cutting board, and then I laser engraved that on a cutting board for them, and it was
That's what you
just, it was a hit. Everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like the best gift ever!" And so they loved that, and so after that, my cousins called my mom and are like, "Hey, we want to learn to make dressing because my mom's dressing is the best, hands down, the best." And so she had all the girls over how to make dressing, and I was like, you know what? They need a cookbook with my mom's recipes in there. So
We all need a
that's
cookbook
how it
with your
came about.
mom's recipes in
I'm
there.
hoping to have about 75 to 100 recipes in there. So we'll see. But I'll let you know whenever we.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hopefully have it out before Christmas. It may be. I got a lot going on between now and then, so it may be next year.
It's a
But
lot easier
it's
to produce
coming.
books than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Amazon.
Oh yeah, I've produced 2 books so far. That just friends. I help them with friends. So I know how to design books, and it's just a fun thing for me. I enjoy doing it. So I'm jack of all trades, I guess.
Let's talk herbs.
Yeah, yeah.
I've got this huge herb garden. And
Yeah.
oh, and my goodness, you remember all of those? They taught me how to propagate plants. And perfect. So what happens is I had bought 4 lavender plants.
Yeah.
And then, wound up
Yep.
with 120.
Yep.
I gave you some.
Yep.
I gave you that.
Yep.
And are they doing okay?
I actually gave them to my niece who loves lavender and loves plants because I couldn't take care of them, so I had to give them up for adoption. So, so yeah, I gave them to my niece. I need to ask her about them, but I know she planted them. Yeah.
I got the lavender field.
So they're going
They're
good.
going great. And so I've had the blooms. And and this is what I've been doing. Tell me if I'm doing this correctly. So I've been cutting, not the steamy part, but just kind of up at the top part where the blooms are. So I've been cutting that, rounding a rubber band because they're going to expand just a little bit.
Right.
And some of them won't. But that keeps everything together. I've got them labeled, the date that I did it, and then Phil made me some little hooks made out of wire.
Yeah.
And so I've had them hanging up on the fireplace.
Yeah.
It looks almost like Christmas in my house.
Yeah,
Because I've got lavender stuff all over the place. And so I've already had one group, and I've already put those in a jar.
Mhm.
And I'm using it for everything. Soaps, and I make soaps and
Right,
candles
right.
and all that kind of stuff too. Essential oils.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you? What was it? What variety was
English
it?
lavender.
English lavender. Okay. There's a variety out there that's more heat tolerant, and I can't remember the name. It's like
They did awesome. But now I put
Raz
'em-
or some name like that. I can't.
Yeah, but
remember.
I didn't put them like directly in the ground.
Okay.
So I did, the little block garden,
Yeah. Yeah.
the raised garden. So
Yeah.
I did that. I think that may have saved it
Okay.
because they love drought. They love.
Yeah. They don't like to be
and all
wet
that rain
whatsoever.
was-
Yeah.
Root rot, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely need a sandy soil if you're going to have a lot of lavender. So, well, that's good. That's a success story.
I mean, it's still worth the class. If nothing else, propagating the lavender. How much money that saved me?
Yeah.
A bunch of hundred-
Yeah.
I couldn't get rid of them. I mean,
Yeah.
I planted every single one of them, and I've made sachets. I've just done all kinds of
That's
stuff.
awesome. That's exciting.
And what about sunflowers?
Sunflowers. So you can still plant sunflowers. They'll produce a fall crop of sunflowers. And there's tons of varieties. My mom actually planted some this spring. Last year she tried to plant the same ones, and the deer ate them. So she went out and there was just little stobs sticking up. So she was really upset. Yeah, there's so many varieties now. She's got one that's black. It's really cool. Like it's just almost solid black. Really, really cool.
I love my Russian.
Yeah.
And they're the big, like huge, and then the Mexican variety of those, they're huge flowers.
Yeah, yeah. There's and there's different hybrids that doesn't produce seed; they just produce the head. They're mostly like the real small ones, and I need to show you some of those pictures I've got of because they're really really nice ones. Just one that's like a really really light yellow. There's one that's brown. There's red ones, oranges. I mean, there's tons of colors of those things. So.
It looks like a sunset.
Yeah.
And nothing is happier than a
Yeah.
sunflower.
Yeah, but going back to your herbs, I mean, there's so many herbs, and right now is the perfect time. You can still grow herbs. I mean, it doesn't take no time.
Oh, you can grow an herb at any time of the year.
Yeah, yeah, it's easy to grow. But yeah, herbs are, just make sure that you're not overwetting them. It's best to just put a herb in a container and grow them because they need to drain well. So you need some really good potting mix or something that it will drain well. But keep them watered and just it don't need a whole lot of fertilizer. Just throw a little bit on there. And,
Oh, and your chives are wonderful in the wintertime.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'll put them on salads. I'll just go whack some in my own little store out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Put it on my own food.
Yeah, so there's some things when I was building remodeling my house, I redone my whole kitchen, and I thought about this. Now I didn't do it because I ended up getting granite, but I thought about making a slit in the back side of my counter, and then putting under the underside of my cabinet, putting a grow light on the underside of my cabinet,
Phil,
and
listen
then
to
you
this.
can have herbs year round right there on your countertop. Wouldn't that be cool?
Because I got this big window in the kitchen. That would be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, so I was, before I was going to do like a butcher block, and that would have been easy just to cut a gap in there and just kind of drop a little planter in there and then have it recirculating some water and have my little grow light in there. I thought that'd been a really cool idea. So you're welcome if y'all want to do that. Try it yourself.
Absolutely.
But you'll have fresh herbs anytime you want to cook. You just go
Get your own basil.
Yeah, get your own basil. There you go. So yeah,
But I'll tell you, you just mentioned your mom's dressing.
yes,
There's nothing, you've got to use your own fresh herbs. I can tell the difference.
yeah,
Your own sage, and I use sage for everything, and sage is so good for you too.
yeah. So there's some people that hate sage, and we use a little bit on there,
Not
but
a lot of it on there.
yeah, too much is too much. So, but yeah, and I've actually learned to master the dressing. So
So how
I'm
do you
carrying
get
on.
it? Or is this like a recipe that you'll take to your
You'll
dad?
have to get the book to find out. I'm just,
Oh, don't worry about that. I'm going to get the
yeah.
About 3 minutes left
Okay.
in this segment. What do you want to tell folks before you go?
Well, like I said before, as we started off, right now it's time to start either solarizing your garden or cleaning up your garden for fall. Plant those fall garden vegetables now. You'll have a fall crop, later in the fall, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Just keep, sun is really bad right now. It's hot, so keep your plants watered if you're in a drought period right now. And right now we're having plenty of rain, so just make sure you're watering well. That's the biggest thing. So
Absolutely.
especially your potted plants, so they dry
We'll
out
be
real
bringing
quick.
them in. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be bringing them in as well.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing is what kind of flowers could you plant right now?
Oh gosh, that's a great
Mums?
question. Yeah, it's a little early for mums right now. It's they're still in the nurseries right now, but I'd hold off on any. Excuse me. I'd hold off on any fall type plantings. Just wait a little bit longer till it gets a little cooler. But any of your perennials you could put in the ground. It's just hard to plant anything right now other than your fall vegetable crops, and they're still going to need water. So,
Oh, what kind of beans? Shoot, we didn't get to beans.
yeah. So beans. You could still plant beans too. Just about anything.
Green
So
beans.
yeah. You still actually. Did you get the Sow app?
Uh-uh.
Okay. Did I show you the Sow app?
You probably did.
So SOW is an app that we have from Extension, and so it looks like that. And when it pops up, I'll show. That's kind of what it looks like there. And so what you can do is it will tell you put in your zone, whatever part of the world you're in, and it will tell you what you can plant for that day. So let's see if I can find it here. Planting zone. So we're in, let's see, choose your county.
We're in Etowah right here.
Yeah, so it's not really showing me. Okay, there we go. You got to choose your state first and then your county. So we'll go down to Etowah, say okay, and you save your zone, and then you can put in what kind of crops you want to grow. So yeah, that's how you do that, and it will tell you exactly what you need to grow that day. So, but yeah, it's SOW, a planting companion, and it's Alabama Extension. This is Alabama Cooperative Extension, and that's how you do it. So it's a pretty cool app. It probably needs updating.
I love the plant identifier too. And if your plant is sick, it'll tell you. It'll tell you what you can do about it.
Yeah. Some of those you have to be careful with, but yeah, that's. Let's see, I'm trying to get all this stuff done here, so before it's but anyway, you can click through there. It's a really good app to let you know what you can plant, and it tells you updated daily. So
Thank you, Brian, for being on the show as
Absolutely.
always. As
Absolutely.
always, and thank you so much for watching. You can find us on the television at Channel 182, Charter Communications and Abundance Television syndicated, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com, and continue sending those emails. I really love them. I know you do too.
yeah,
And thank you. And thanks for being so popular, by the way, with our listeners. You're probably one of the most popular guests we have. Everybody wants to know about gardening.
yeah, it's a
Gardening,
good
all
hobby.
those good things. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great, awesome rest of the day.